So most people believe that heartbreak is negative and bad, and they want to avoid it at all costs, right? Nobody wants to be heartbroken. It's horrible, it feels bad, but if you recontextualize it, it actually can be a good thing, and it is a good thing if you look at it from the perspective of getting up the scale of consciousness. And this is why knowing about the scale of consciousness and the levels of consciousness is so good, because you get to see things completely differently. Like, for example, heartbroken or falling in love, and these things, they get recontextualized into something completely different than what most people look at it from. So the thing is, everything that takes you up the scale of consciousness is good, and everything that holds you back is bad. That's how you should view it if you understand the levels of consciousness. And you can use pretty much any situation or anything that happens in a way that's good for you to get you up the scale. And that's how I'm going to use heartbreak, or to explain how you can use heartbreak to actually heal deep-seated negativity that you would otherwise not get in touch with so easily. So that's a big bonus and a blessing in disguise if you look at it like that. And it will also make you less afraid of actually being heartbroken. That's also a good thing, because you will be more bold when it comes to relationship, and not be so scared of, hey, maybe I will get my heart broken, like before. So who cares? You can just heal it. It's not that difficult. I did it in 2 weeks. I was completely, madly in love with this lady I worked with. That's some years ago now. And I didn't even realize how much I've fallen for this lady before she suddenly had to quit, and she basically had to leave the country because she got a new job in a different country. And that's when I realized how deep the hooks were in, and that I was completely, madly in love. And it was basically just like a week until she was gone forever. I would never see her again. She was gone. So in this week, I just got worse and worse. Like, I got completely delusional. I believed that she was secretly in love with me too, but she didn't have the guts to confess it. And if I just did that, then she would just be super happy and not leave the country and not quit the job and basically leave her. She already had like a boyfriend she was living with, and I thought she was ready to leave him too. Or if I just had the guts to confess my feelings, right? That's how insane I got. And I still remember the final day before, like the last day before she was leaving. I couldn't sleep all night. I was tossing and turning, like, sweating bullets, and just thinking, what am I supposed to do? I have to confess. I had like, this is the last day. The next day is my final chance before she's gone. So basically I come to the office, and by some miracle, me and her ended up in the same meeting room. And I believed that she was doing this on purpose because she wanted me to confess, so she was giving me the opportunity, right? Because normally we would not end up alone in a meeting room like this. But we had something to discuss, work stuff to discuss, and it ended up with only me and her after a while. So anyway, I was like, yes, finally, my opportunity is here. I have to do it now. And I was like super nervous. And then we sort of came to the point where I had to either do it or not, and then I just burst out everything, and she was just completely shocked. She took it really well, actually. She didn't show that she was shocked, but she said, like, I better close the window so you don't jump out, because I had no idea about any of this. And I thought she was like going to be super happy and just, leave her boyfriend and everything for me. And she had no clue what I was even talking about, that I had any interest in her at all. She had no idea. And that's how insane I was. But luckily, when I did that confession, all the insanity sort of went away. And I felt like a big relief. Like, now I can finally think straight again. Like, I had to get this off my chest, so to speak. And it was a big relief when I did that. But still, it was a massive heartbreak when she left. Like, I would never see her again. Massive heartbreak. Like, the worst I ever felt. Like, I'd never been that much in love before, and ever again probably will. But it's all, I realized when I healed this, the more I healed this, the more I realized that this is nothing to do with love, okay? This is insanity. I was completely off balance, psychotic and mad, and, didn't see reality at all. I was hallucinating. This is not good. This is not healthy. This is not, positive at all. This is crazy, right? So what I had to do was that I had to sit down like 2 hours every day, and basically get into a meditative state where you just allow all the chaos and negativity to come up in you, and face it and face it and face it, and just feel all the negative emotions, all the, heartbreak, basically, all that negativity, and just allow it to come up and process it out of the system. So that's what I did for basically every day for 2 weeks, like 2 hours every day when I came home from work. But sometimes at work I would like, it felt like an earthquake had gone off inside my system, like it broken so much stuff loose that I sometimes have to just go out and take a break from work too, because I almost burst into tears in front of people. Like, I was so shaken up by it. It shook me to the core almost. It was a deep shake-up. But anyway, after 2 weeks, I was managed to get back to normal again, like neutral, but I processed out so much negativity in that time that really was deep-seated, right? So that's really the thing you have to understand. It's not about, you think you need that person to feel that blissful, that amazing feeling you get, right? But you're basically projecting your own deepest self or deepest level of pure love, which is underneath all the negativity in everyone. You're projecting that onto this other person and idolizing that person, and then you become attached to that feeling that sort of reflected back to you from that person, that you think you need that person to feel that way. But what you really need is to get rid of the negativity standing in the way between your true self and you, right, and where you are on the scale. And this is actually really helpful in getting you up the scale, because you get in touch with so deep-seated negativity, and it sort of goes so deep that you can get rid of massive chunks of deep negativity by healing this. And it took me 2 weeks, but 2 hours every day, and that's not so long. After those 2 weeks, I would not have no problem. Like, I didn't feel any need or attachment to that person anymore. I was back to normal, and that was a big lesson for me, actually, to learn that, hey, it's all this romantic falling in love stuff. That's basically, it's all an illusion. It's not healthy. You can't base a relationship on it either. If both people are like that, or basically usually it's just one person who is like madly, and the other person might be a little bit attracted or halfway, but the person who are completely off center like that, you become super needy and clingy. Like you can't base a relationship on something like that. It's never gonna work, right? It's all hormone. It's a mix of hormones flowing completely crazy, and all that negativity that's being shaken loose in you at the same time, and a projection of your true self, which is basically pure love, onto that person and idolizing that person. Because enlightened people, they don't fall in love, because how can they fall? There's nowhere to fall when you are pure love yourself. Your identity is pure love, which is the case when you're enlightened, right? Pure consciousness is pure love. So that's basically, they don't fall in love, because there's nowhere to fall when you are the thing itself. But you listen to this, you fall in love. Think about that. You fall, that means you're falling. So you're dropping in, you're actually going temporarily down the scale of consciousness when you so-called fall in love. You're falling down the scale because you're getting crazy and you're getting all this negativity up. And think about it. Many people who fall in love or in love, they will kill people. They kill the person they love, so-called love, because they so-called love that person so much, they need that person so much that they're willing to kill that person if that person is not, complying or giving them what they want, or basically feeling the same back of wanting to be in a relationship or whatever, right? That's not really love. If love can turn you into a murderer, which actually happens in many cases, it's not love, okay? It's just a massive attachment and neediness that has nothing to do with real love, except for the fact that it actually is a projection of your own repressed love that you have underneath it all, put onto this idolized person you put on a pedestal. So it's not really, for me, in my perspective, these things are not really a good thing. Everybody is idolizing romantic love because they have been taught so by movies and by romantic novels as they grow up, and all these romantic Hollywood movies and whatnot. But in reality, it's not really a good thing in that sense. It's good when you use it for what it's meant to be used for, namely to cleanse out your system and actually get up the scale of consciousness. That's what romantic so-called love and falling in love is actually, useful for. You can't base a relationship on it. You get completely crazy from it, and many people do really negative stuff based on this so-called love. So in my view, it's not really something to seek out or want to. If it happens, it happens. Then you deal with it, like I talked about how you do here. Like you just have to process out all the negativity, and that's much easier to do when you know about the scale of consciousness, because then you have a motivation to do it. Like if you're just a normal person who have no idea, and this is the best feeling you ever had, right? Like most people, they fall in love and that's the best they ever felt in their life, and they just want to keep that feeling and keep feeling so good, even though it's bad at the same time, because especially if that person don't want you back or whatever, and it's like a mix of good and bad at the same time, so to speak. But anyway, like if you in the case you actually get to be with that person, the love, so-called falling in love stuff will eventually fade away anyway, right? So it's just a hormone influx of massive hormone nonsense going on, a cocktail of all sorts of stuff, right? That's what happens, and it goes away even if you get the person. And so I mean, think about it. Is this really something you want to base a relationship on? In my view, it's better to be more practical when it comes to long-term relationships, because that's how it maybe will last. Because if it's based on these irrational craziness like this, you will most likely completely see the person in a different view anyway. When this sort of fades away, you will see the real person and not the idolized version of it. So for me, the whole romantic love thing is much better to be practical. If you find something that works on a practical level, if you want a long-term relationship, all these people running around with Tinder and these apps, and I want to find a perfect person so I can fall in love, because then my life will work out really good, right? Not really the case. I mean, how many times does that work? Think about it. I mean, it's a waste of time and energy to look for that kind of love, because it's fleeting. It doesn't last. If you even get the person you're so-called in love with, it doesn't last anyway. And then you base the whole relationship on illusions, because you don't see the real person. You see an idolized version of it, and that's not going to be the reality when you start to live together and whatnot, and the relationship becomes settled. The daily life turns everything into something that's much more ordinary anyway. You can't keep that sense of being in love a long time anyway. And it's usually not a good idea to base anything on that, in my view. So to heal the heartbreak is very simple. You have to just understand that what this is about. It's about shaking loose all sorts of negativity that's deep-seated in you, in your system, and then you basically have to sit and process it out of your system, because you have to have a distance to your mind established first, otherwise you will not be able to do this. I talk about how you get that. You use formal meditation to do that, and then you basically just allow all this negativity to come up, and then you get rid of it, and then you have increased your level of consciousness to a new level, and you have also learned that, hey, I can actually heal one of the worst feelings there is, which is being completely heartbroken. Even though it's not really your heart that is breaking, it's your unworthiness complex or your negativity, because the true heart beneath it all cannot break, okay? That's the definition of the true heart. It's not something that cannot be broken. So whatever can be broken is not really, it's in the way of your true heart. It's your negativity, it's your unworthiness complex that's being touched and shaken up in you. And that's all you have to understand. When you understand these things, then it's not so dangerous to fall in love, or these feelings that you think you have no control over. You get like a leverage. You can actually take advantage of the whole thing and actually get up the scale and use it for what it's meant to be used like, instead of being scared of it.